Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gail Carson, that's Gayle, Gail Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
My guest today is Selle Evans. She's a certified marketing and business coach and has been acknowledged as one of the top CEOs in Houston. She's also been published in Inc. and Fortune magazines for running one of the fastest growing companies in the United States before starting Masterly to help other women grow their businesses. She's passionate about marketing, automation, and personalization. She believes it's the key to positioning women-owned businesses for success. Well, first of all, welcome, Selle, and then I'm going to have to find out about marketing, automation, and personalization because that's a hard thing to do. So welcome to the show.
I'm really happy to be here. I get really excited. So I really appreciate you allowing me to get on here and just geek out a little bit with you guys about my passions and telling you guys a little bit more about personalized marketing.
So how did you get into marketing?
Okay, so basically, after leaving the Inc. 5000 company that I had grown, I had a love for efficiency and I had a love for automation, and so that's kind of why I started Masterly to begin with is automation and efficiency and just growing companies, right? I just had a passion for it. And honestly, with time, that really grew into marketing and sales because that's really the most important part because you can have this wonderful product, right? This wonderful product, but if nobody hears about it and nobody understands why it's wonderful, it won't sell. Right. So the more I was in business and the longer I was in business, I just picked up more and more sales and marketing skills and more sales and marketing tactics and just really dove in and started to study it to where now that's actually what we specialize in.
Well, it's interesting because a mentor of mine says, whatever business you have, you're not a dentist, you're not a carpenter, you're not a marketing person. I should say you are not I don't want to say software person. You are in the marketing business. Every business is in the marketing business. So, I know that you like working with women. So what is something that you would suggest to them to scale their businesses?
First of all, I want women to start thinking bigger. Okay, because honestly, the statistics are that women in America are growing. They're growing business. They're opening businesses at almost 300 businesses a day. It's like 276 or something like that and growing, right? So we're opening 300 businesses a day, but more than 90% of them never get over six figures. So the biggest thing I want women to do is to start thinking bigger. There is absolutely no reason why women can't make six figures and more up to, millions of dollars, right? I've done it. I know we can do it. So I want women to stop being their own glass ceilings. And I want them to reach high and really strategically plan for that first million. And I don't want them to be afraid to do it.
So do you think that some of this is tempered by the fact that they have children, that they have responsibilities at home, and that still even today women are considered the person who runs the home, even though they may, have a business or be at work, and especially in this last year where they've had to homeschool kids and all of the things that are going on. Do you think that has hindered them?
Okay, so yes, because I do have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I do play kindergarten teacher and cook and maid and all of those other things, and I do 100% agree that we really have to split our attention. So I think it takes longer because of that. But like I said, most of us never hit that 6-figure mark, right? So I don't care what pace we do it at. I just don't want us to be afraid to reach for that, right? Because I think if we take strategic plans and really put them into action and do things smarter, right? Like for instance, like I said, I have 2 small kids. I also have a very, very supportive partner who's very active in everything. So I can say that, but I have 2 kids, and honestly, automation plays such a huge role in what I'm able to accomplish each and every day. Right. So for instance, I'm on this podcast with you right now, but I have things running in the background right now doing prospecting for me. Right. So now I can kind of create extensions of myself because I've put these processes in place and I've put this automation in place, and there's emails going out and there's LinkedIn messages going out and there's, all this type of social media engagement happening, and there's nobody actually doing it, right? Because these are all automated things that I've put in place, and processes and things that I've written out previously through my strategic planning.
So do you think that, first of all, I think there's a lot of people who have no clue how to automate anything. So do you think that most women have to hire somebody to put those processes in place, or do you think that most women can learn what those processes are and put them in themselves? Because I know I'm a technophobe. I mean, I do what I can, but as soon as something gets into steps, step 1,
Yeah.
step 2, step 3, my mind goes blank. I look at a graph and say, okay, turn the page. So, but, we're talking about younger women. And so I'm just wondering what you have seen in your business in terms of the women that you work with. Are they technically competent, or do they need to bring that process into their business?
I think that I've worked with full spectrum. I have people who are not tech savvy at all, and then I've worked with the middle of the road, right? Like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. And then I've worked with the people who could probably sit in the same chair I do, right? So what I would say is that you kind of, especially in the day and age and with the pandemic and everything kind of going online, digital marketing has really become the forefront of a lot of things, right? It's become a lifeline for a lot of businesses. So I would say that the first step is going to have to be to grow comfortable with learning how to do some of these things on your own. I don't think you have to come out of the gate and hire somebody. I think what you need to do is understand the intricacies of your business. You need to understand efficient processes. So, and you need to understand what needs to be automated first before you would even want to hire anybody or get to that point. So the first step is really spelling it all out, right? What's the most efficient way to do process A, right? Once you know the most efficient way to do process A, then you can look at process A and say, what steps in process A can I automate?
Interesting. Now, you also have separation and definition of what marketing is and personalized marketing. So what's the difference in your viewpoints between the two of them, and give us some examples?
Okay, so marketing is a very general thing, right? We all market in some capacity, and there's so many different ways to market. Whereas personalized marketing really, it takes it to another level. It's a little bit more advanced in that an example of it would be tracking behavior on a website. So I use this example actually quite a bit. So for instance, if you're on our website, right, and you're going to all of these branding blog posts that we put out, or automation blog posts, right, then we know that that's what you're interested in. So then every pop-up that you're going to see and every email that you're going to get from us is going to be about what you've already shown us that you have interest in. Why is that important? Because if, for instance, if you have an e-commerce store, or if you have various services, your message to that prospect is going to be much more pointed than just general pop-ups, than just general emails. And we actually take that even a bit further, and we create personalized images and videos. What does that mean? It means that we can put your name, your picture, your logo, your website. We can put these things on images and we can put them into videos. That way, when we send you a message, it seems a lot more targeted towards you. Like, oh, this has my name in it. Right? How many times have you gotten an email or a text message or anything and it had a video inside of it with your name and your logo and these things? It's not typical. So when you see it, it captures your attention. And what marketing is about is capturing the attention of your prospect. So personalized marketing has actually shown to have an engagement rate 3 times higher than non-personalized marketing.
Well, it's interesting because I just read something, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. We all know that goldfish have an attention span of 9 seconds, and I guess we as humans have an attention span of 8. So our attention span is less than a goldfish. So I can see where the personalized marketing is something that we need to do. But
yes.
How do you get started in it? I mean, how do you get started in implementing this? When someone goes into business, I mean, people go into business because they're good at what they do.
Right.
And unfortunately, many of them buy themselves a job rather than buying themselves a business. So
Correct.
Once they get through this, you mean I have to take out my own garbage and my own trash can, and I have to do this and I have to do that. Once they get through all of that, especially if they've come from a corporate background where they've had people do things for them, how do people get started in implementing all of this?
Well, the first thing is you really have to sit and define out you have to define out what it is that your unique selling point is. You have to understand who you're selling to. You have to kind of have a marketing plan in place, right? So once you do that, you're going to have, basically goals and, a general plan of what you're planning to do. What's your objective, right? Once you have that in place, you're able to go in and design the steps. Okay, so step 1, for instance, if you're going to do content marketing, you decided you're going to do content marketing, then you can sit out and you can design the steps of how you're going to do the content marketing. What topics are you going to cover? And all of this is obviously going to go back to what is interesting to your prospect. So once you design out, this is everything I'm going to do, then you can decide what parts of that can you automate, right? Because the biggest part about doing more with less is understanding your processes and then making sure that they're efficient and automating the steps that you can. Because if you don't take the time to really define your steps and automate specific steps, then really you're always going to be taking these stabs at the dark, right? Like, let's see what works. Let's see what works. Let's see what works. And then, if you're not looking at the metrics and you're not really keeping track of what you're doing, you're going to end up spending a lot of time and money that's just unnecessary, right? So you have to have a plan. You have to define the steps in that plan, and you have to automate as much of those steps as you can.
But I think, you brought up a very important point, and that's you said, okay, we've got to have a marketing plan. I think a lot of people do a business plan, but they
Right.
don't necessarily do a marketing plan. And they're two different things. A marketing plan is a part of a business plan, but a business plan is not part of a marketing plan.
Correct.
And so I think people have to pay more attention to what they're putting together when they're thinking of going into business. So once someone understands the different segments of their audience, how can they continue to fine-tune their messaging?
So first thing I like to do with each and every single one of my clients is define the customer journey. So now that you understand, for instance, client avatar A, right, that this is what they do, this is what they like, this is where they hang out, then you need to design what the path for that particular client avatar is going to be. Where are you finding this person? How are they going to get into your sales funnel? Okay, once you can define that process and understand, okay, this is how I'm going to funnel out the people who are really going to be interested in my services or products. Once you define that out, it's going to be much clearer to understand how to draw out metrics, how to draw out processes. So that journey is going to be the most important part. That's the starting point. That's what a lot of people don't understand is 9 times out of 10, really that journey is the most important part. Okay, because you can fine tune the different metrics, you can fine tune the different ways about going about this journey, but ultimately that journey is the most important part. That's where you have to start. You have to understand how you're going to get them from point A to point Z, right? Until you really understand that, like I said, you're just going to be taking a bunch of stab. You're going to be just throwing darts and hoping something hits, right? So
which I think is what most people do. I think that's
yeah,
exactly what they do, Sal. And that brings me to the point of, you're talking about the customer journey. Most people who are in business now, I think this is probably more so in a brick and mortar store, but those people who are in business, even those online, expect somewhat of immediate results.
yes.
What is the average time, in your opinion, of when someone first says, I think I may be interested in what you have, or I'm getting in touch with you because you sound interesting, or you've been referred to me by so and so? How long does that journey take before money actually changes hands?
That's a really, really good question. So that's really going to depend on your customer journey. So for instance, you can have several entry points into your sales funnel, right? So you can have, let's say we have step A through D, okay, just to keep it simple, A, B, C, D. So an entry point into your sales funnel could be at point A, it could be at point B, it could be at point C or D. But the point is, their level of interest is going to really, their level of interest is really going to, is supposed to grow with time as they go through this funnel, right? So the amount of time it's going to take them to convert is going to differ with who your client avatar is, what you're presenting them with, how personalized that message is, right? So for instance, if you are interested in, let's say I run an e-commerce store and you're interested in a specific shoe in our store. All right, since we're tracking and we're doing personalized marketing, we know that you visited this shoe 2 times already, right? Well, you visited this specific shoe 2 times already. So what if I send you a pop-up or an email that says this specific shoe is now 15% off? How much faster are you going to convert than if you're just getting general messages?
That's
Right,
true.
especially if
That's
the subject
true.
line says, yeah. So if the subject line says, hey, that shoe that you were looking at just yesterday is now 15% off. You're going to open that email, you're going to buy those shoes, right? Because you've already looked at them twice. We know you're interested, right? So that type of, those types of journeys and mapping that out is really, really important, right? Because those things don't happen. Like you're not going to send that email at the right time to the right person at the right time without planning to do so. Right? You don't, like I said, stop throwing all the darts and hoping something hits, because those conversion rates are going to take much longer. It's going to take, they're not going to be as high, right? You want to have very targeted ads. You want to have targeted emails. You want to have targeted promotions, pop-ups, things like that, right? And if you can get somebody to give you their name and to opt in, then at that point, everything you give them can be very personalized. And that includes your actual website. Right, your website can have their name on it when they come and visit. Hey, Gail, it's nice to see you again, right? And that's actually much more inviting. You're going to feel like you're really building a relationship with that brand.
So do you think, though, that it's easier to sell a product, whether it be clothing or shoes or a piece of a tool or anything, rather than a service? I mean, supposing I'm in the advertising business, or supposing I am a coach, or let's say that I'm just in a personal service business, or maybe I'm even a dentist or something. What do you think? Do you think it's easier with a product than a service?
I think there is value no matter what you're selling, right? Because ultimately what you're trying to do is garner a relationship and trust and a connection with with your client avatar, right? So for instance, myself, okay, I'm gonna take, because I'm service based, right? I'm gonna take myself as an example. I do some outreach on LinkedIn, and I use my personalized elements. I use personalized videos and images. I use a lot of different demos and things like that to really show people what it is that I do. I have found my outreach to be so effective that I can only prospect so much a week, or else I can only prospect so many times a week because I can't handle the response rates. It honestly, I think my response rates are getting close to like 80 or 90% of what I reach out to. So it works no matter what you're marketing. It really works because not everybody's doing it. So it's very different and it stands out. And like I said, it captures that attention. So instead of me coming across like everybody else, that's reaching out to people on LinkedIn as a service-based business, when you see my message, it's going to come across with a personalized element. Your name is going to be on the thumbnail of the video I send you. Your profile picture might be on the thumbnail of the video I send you. You're going to be much more likely to hit play, right? You're like, wait, that's my face, right? Or wait, that's my name, or that's my logo. So you're going to, out of curiosity, you're going to hit play and you're going to look at the video. And at the very end of the video, I'm going to have some sort of call to action, which is going to be to book a call with me or something like that. And that works really well. It works really well. And I have automations set up for my follow-ups and things like that. Obviously, I always go in and put a human touch into everything and make sure. But think about how much more I can do in a day because I have all these things set up already.
Well, you're absolutely right, and it's really interesting, when you look at it that way, and that. But you brought up another point which I want to ask you about, and that's LinkedIn. When LinkedIn first started, it was the place for professionals to make connections. Now I feel it's like a selling shop.
Yeah.
There are people. I connect with people even though I don't need their service, because I respect what they do. For example, I'll take financial planners. I don't need a financial planner. My life is planned out. I have all the documents. Everything is ready to go. So I don't need a financial planner. But I hook up with financial planners because they're professional people who I think have good contacts. But without a doubt, every financial planner, as soon as I accept them, sends me a message, can they have a discussion with me or can they have a call with me? And I write back and say, no, I don't need you. So I just, it's really kind of turned me off a little bit to LinkedIn. And I just wondered how you felt about all of that.
So I do agree. And here's a funny part. I actually started off, which I still kind of do this. I started off doing a lot of my prospecting, reaching back out to the people who had tried to sell to me on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I noticed that you do LinkedIn outreach. I know how to make your outreach better. So that actually was
that's clever, Selle. That's clever. That's great.
So that actually worked really, really well for me. But honestly, I think cross-channel outreach has been the most effective for when I do this for my clients, because I do some of the LinkedIn outreach for my clients as well. When I do it for my clients, I do it as LinkedIn and an email, right? So I send an email, be like, hey, found you on LinkedIn. I sent you a video there, just if you have time to connect. Or sometimes we have automations going and they're actually engaging with your content. For instance, if you're posting anything on LinkedIn, it'll start engaging with your content much like with a lot of at least a few weeks before it even sends you a message. Because like you just said, as soon as you accept, it sends you that message, right? So this actually kind of works on, let me engage with your content first. Let me, send you a message and say this or that. And then when I do reach out to you, it's going to have a personalized element in it. So for instance, like I said, if I send you a message and I say, hey, I looked at your website, here's some things I can, and your website is in the video, right? So I looked at your website and I looked at this about, your company, and it can have something about your company in there. Then, and maybe even your picture and things like that, your name. that's going to come across a little differently to you than these general outreaches, right? Because you're going to feel like this person researched you,
Well, that's true.
right? And it's a very different approach than just, hey, this is what I do, and coming out of the gate and just trying to sell, because ultimately people don't like to feel like they're being sold to, but people do like the wow factor in the videos and the images. I'm telling you, a lot of what I get
No,
back,
I'm sure,
yeah.
and I think a lot of our listeners could really use your services. So we only have a couple minutes left, Selle. How can they reach you? Do you have a gift for them? What's the best way to be in touch with you?
So you can reach me at masterlybusiness.com. You can also just give us a call or text. You can shoot us a text message at 713-377-3357. And then also I did put out a marketing planner that I wanted you guys to have, just to kind of get started with just spelling out the steps, right? Because that's really where it all has to start. Before you do that, if you're completely lost as far as who you're selling to and how you're going to sell, it's really, really, really important to understand that before you would even want to hire anybody. Yes, I can help you with that.
And where can they get that? Because we just have about 30 seconds left. So where can they find that, Selle?
I'll send over a link. But yeah, I had sent that over prior, but I will send over a link, and I'll also create a little bit of a landing page for you guys.
Fantastic. Well, my guest has been Selle Evans, and her company is Masterly Business. So you can go to masterlybusiness.com, find out more about her. You can tell she knows what she's talking about. This has been really enlightening and educational, Selle. I've enjoyed it so much, I even want to hire you myself. So anyway, thanks for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed it, folks. Selle is a treasure, and she's doing it with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So if she can do it, so can you. And thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.